All right, welcome in everybody. Here from I'm in Ocean City, Maryland. Here, windy and rainy Ocean City, Maryland. Is my CJ, my Atlanta Falcons tonight playing the Buffalo Bills. Making your boy some money here, but on with him as Selly from X, the man CJ Arrington. Another Ravens. We'll call ourselves the non-homer podcast because CJ, we could see without wearing rose-colored glasses. We can be very objective on this team, but not fun times in Baltimore coming off the 17-3 loss where sadly that might have been the best that we played. But thanks for joining us, man. Let everybody know where they could give you a follow.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me, Marco. As you said, you can find me on X at Selly Talks, and you can find all of my unsolicited takes there.
There you go. Yeah. So that's just a story. That's how we connected. And shout out to our boy Snacks, Ian. Shout out to our boy LP Millsy. You got anyone else that you want to shout out? Like that's our crew basically that just comments back and forth with each other.
Yeah, those are guys that I interact with a lot. I'll leave it there.
There you
I'll
go.
leave it there.
Awesome. Well, hey man, let's go over your thoughts. Obviously, sitting at 1-5, and finally Vegas is off the drug of the Ravens, and finally putting them at, you know, plus money to make the playoffs, plus money to win the division. It only took 6 weeks. As of
Yeah.
right after they lost to the Rams, they were still minus money to make the playoffs, which is absurd. But sitting at 1-5, obviously, we know the Cavalry's coming with Lamar coming back after the Bears game. Just what are your overall thoughts, man, on the first 6 games that we've seen? Like some, I guess, if there are any positives, and just overall a couple of major takeaways from you.
So I'll start with we're going to go back to week one. You're not going to tell me 3.5 quarters through that game, you're not thinking, what are we watching? This team, they might score 50 every game. No way that they lose this game. And
Mm-hmm.
sadly, we know how that ended. And it just seems like since that moment, there's been no sunshine. I mean, I remember even after the Browns game, a game where the defense had a get right game, in a sense, on paper, of course, but the 40 points, you win a division game, those are always tough, but it just didn't feel right. You know
I'm
what I
with you.
mean? It did not feel like, okay, the boys are going to play now. We're back to square one. Nothing felt like that. And then obviously we get the news that Matabike isn't practicing all week. He has a neck injury. And I don't know about you, but I was very concerned just because of the overall makeup of the injury that we know that is now that we know is confirmed to be a neck, but how fickle those injuries can be, and not even just for a season, but a career.
And it,
So
it, it ended Zach Orr's career, correct? Kind of
yeah,
same injury.
yeah.
Yeah.
So very, very similar situation. So we've seen that very close to home, and so I just think that ever since that day, we haven't had much sunshine. I mean, I'm even going back to the Lions game, and that game gets talked about a little bit differently than you would have thought. You would have thought that that was a 40-point loss, but we lost by 8. And I do
Right.
understand that there was a garbage time touchdown in the end, but even a 2-score loss, the game is talked about as if it was never close. I mean, it was tied before the Henry fumble, and we actually led at a point in the third quarter. So even that game, it just kind of gets talked about with a rain cloud over it. So lots of negatives with the season, obviously, and a lot of places where everyone is like in a real dark mood. But some positives to pull away comes from this past week for me. The defense looked a lot more calm in situational football to me. Um, I want to shout out to is his name Alohi or Aloha Gilman,
Oh
the
yeah,
one that came
Loy
in
or
and
something. Yeah,
yeah,
Loy, something
how
like that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know how to say his first name, but he was flying around. Um, he made tackles. He had run fits. I attribute that to him familiarity with the system. Chargers run a very similar defense to us, so I think that helped him out. But overall, I feel like he played really good ball. It was good to see Trenton Simpson get that pass breakup. I believe second or third down. It was a big moment. Had a pass breakup. I know I'm nitpicking here, trying to find positives, but
All good.
that's just kind of where the season has gone, in my opinion. But other than that, like you alluded to, where expecting Roquan and Lamar back. We know how these injuries can be and how Harbaugh
Mm-hmm.
can paint a story at times, but you're expecting your $100 million linebacker and your $250 million quarterback here soon, so you would expect times to be on the up and up, very
Yeah.
very soon.
And I could tell you opposing running backs coming out of the backfield and opposing tight ends running over the middle are hoping that Roquan comes back so they could just run by him all day and pick up first downs. But yeah, I mean, to your point, man, like I think it's, we all know the flock, right? We all know my quote unquote hatred for the flock. Like, I love the Ravens. I hate the idiots on there that just keep the blinders on. And like, there's certain things in there. You don't want to admit that some of the players might not be as good as you think they are, right? But a lot of it was masked with this defense last year. They were great against really bad quarterbacks. They were average to below average against good quarterbacks. And who do you play in the playoffs? Good quarterbacks.
Good quarterbacks.
But I think the thing about the Lions game is there's been this preconceived notion so that the Ravens are these tough guys, right? Like, and we've been losing at home to like the likes of the Raiders and the Browns at the bank, which was unfathomable, back in the Ray Lewis era. And it's like, we haven't been that outside of Derrick Henry, that just punch in the mouth kind of team. And that's exactly what the Lions did. And I think that's where that loss was kind of like, they kicked our ass, right? Like on the scoreboard, it wasn't as bad as like kind of what you said. Yeah, we were leading. And if Henry doesn't fumble, who knows? But at no point did I think like, once the Lions were just running down their throat, that the Ravens could get enough stops on there, on defense. And, you and I have as many sacks as, the future Hall of Famer Mike Green. So, through 6 games in the season. So, the lack of pass rush has been, something that's been plaguing this team for 2 years. So it seems like it's kind of built the wrong way. And we'll talk about this later. I mean, as far as that window, it was wide open. And, I've mentioned multiple times in different tweets, different shows I've been on, it's like, look at the last 25 years, right? You either have a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, which we might think that Lamar is, I think he probably is, or you get a quarterback on your rookie deal, or both. That's who's made the Super Bowl. So Mahomes has made it pretty much on his rookie deal, but Mahomes is a generational talent. You go all the way back to when Russell Wilson was in there. Those guys were on their rookie deal. Why? Because your quarterback wasn't costing you money, so you could build the rest of your team. Or you were amazing on one end, like what the Rams had, the generational defense, and they had Cooper Kupp out there, and they had Aaron Donald, so they had a 2,000-yard receiver, and they had the defensive player of the year. Like, the Ravens have that to an extent, and obviously like Lamar, who top 2 player in all football, and Kyle Hamilton, but he's not winning he hasn't been changing the game like Aaron Donald has, if you know what I mean. So it's like,
No.
that window of getting to the Super Bowl has to be now, and that's why this year at this trade deadline, it's going to be very, very interesting to see, what they do, if they become sellers or if they just try to, make one last run for it here. But yeah, again, man, not a lot of positives on my end, and it's kind of comical seeing that. Oh well, the Ravens' schedule gets easier. The Ravens' schedule gets easier, and I'm like, hey, when you're a 1-5 team, maybe you're the easy team on other people's schedule.
Exactly. Maybe they're saying the same thing about you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, yeah. I'm not going to play this win loss thing or whatever.
No.
But I mean, essentially, to get into the playoffs, I mean, what we think this team probably needs 10 wins, right? So sitting there, maybe 9 gets you in.
Maybe.
I'd rather have 10. Yeah, I'd rather have 10. So essentially,
only way 9 does it is if you assume that you sweep Pittsburgh,
right,
and Cleveland and Cincinnati,
right.
That's the
which
only way
we haven't done.
Which is hard to do. I mean, that's super tough to ask, but you're 1-5, so everything's a tough ask. It's going to have to be. So that's the only way 9 does it, but 10 seems like the bare minimum.
So in 11 more games, they're going to have to go 9-2, and you can lose games, just 2 games by accident, just by like, even the best teams lose games, like you saw they put in clunkers. So the Ravens are essentially going to have to play perfect football, and I don't know, even with everybody back, if they could do that. So
that's a tough ask.
Yeah. So to get in there is going to be tough, man. So let's kind of pivot on there, and you and I were discussing this a little bit before the show, and I don't want some of the flock to come through and like punch me in the face and rip my heart out here when I'm about to say this, but I'm going to go over some cap numbers here for you, and I'm going to propose a wild idea, and we'll talk about it, and you let me know if it's an idiot, but you also kind of let me know your thoughts on it. So we have some Ravens free agents and some cap hits, and like, again, to talk more about the window that we have open, it's like, so next year, these are your cap hits. So you have Lamar's cap hit is finally hitting at the $74,500,000. Roquan, like you said, an aging linebacker, $32.7 million. Matabuke, 30.9, might never play again. Very, very sad. Marlowe, 26.2 million. Kyle Hamilton over 10 million. Then you got Stanley coming in at like 10 million and Bateman at like 6.3. By the way, Bateman's picking up that money with the ski mask. I mean, don't get me started on that. But we've seen Lamar be otherworldly, incredible, like 41-4. Like, we're not going to talk about winning a certain award because it's been 9 months after it's happened. Just let it go. Should he have won it? Maybe, probably. But, anyway, you're not going to get too many seasons like he had at 41-4, and you still didn't get to the AFC Championship game with the best roster in football, bringing back the best roster in football, adding to the best roster in football, and your quarterback is now going to be costing your team $74 million. Like, is it a wild idea to explore a trade out there and just, have they kind of run their course on this is as good as we're going to get? And yes, the team, and I'm going to call it a team game because it hasn't just been Lamar. He's come up small in the playoffs, but so has the team. They just can't get over that hump. Like, what else are you going to do with those cap restrictions to be able to get you over the hump? Are you going to have to ask Lamar to play even better now when not to no fault of his own, how can he play much better? So is exploring a trade for Lamar out there, because if he doesn't restructure, and I'm kind of torn on this, I don't think he should. I mean, every player should get every penny that they want, but it also kind of makes you not a team player. So I guess, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, like, is it, it's something kind of drastic to do, but I think it has to be explored or you're not doing your job as a GM. Tell me I'm an idiot, but, I guess your thoughts on exploring the Lamar trade.
You're not an idiot. Like you said, it has to be a conversation. And I think it starts with a conversation with Lamar. What are you thinking? Do you want to be here? What do you want to change? Where do you think we could get better? Where do you think you could get better? Right. All of those conversations need to be had because, like you said, and you alluded to a great point, what people are not realizing is it takes two to tango. He's got to want the restructure. They can't it's not a thing where they just offer it to him and the books just change just because they offered him a restructure. He has to accept it, right? And from player perspective and human perspective, everyone's not a business owner. I'm not personally. I'm an employee. So obviously, I'm looking to maximize my value at every turn.
Mm-hmm.
On a personal level, am I mad at Lamar for saying, I don't really want to do that? I'll take that $74 million to the bank and take and get fitted for my gold jacket.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be mad at him on a personal level.
Right.
As a Ravens fan, am I just like, come on, bro, you can work with us a little bit, but on a personal level, when I take sports out of it and just like, hey man, he's making 74, but what are these owners making?
Right.
What have they been making for years? What is the TV money about to do again? So I get all of that, and all of that is a nuanced conversation. But like what you asked me was on the team side, GM side, is it a part of his job to at least think about it? And it is 1,000%, because it comes down to it. If he's unhappy and he doesn't want to be here, that's a hell of a check to write for someone that isn't happy.
Right.
So, hey man, if you don't want to be, we can explore options. We know you have the no trade clause, but throw a team out there. I'll call. We'll see what we can get, because, and with the numbers that you presented, a lot of these guys are older.
Mm-hmm.
These are older guys. So when we look at it, the team isn't getting younger. There's really no young asset like Dallas had with Micah Parsons. We don't have that.
Right.
We truly don't. I mean, the closest thing to it would be Kyle Hamilton, but the league has pretty much told us what they think about safeties. And yeah, they get paid.
And we keep track.
You draft him. I mean, he's comfortably the highest paid ever. They gave him an amazing contract. Well deserved. I'm not arguing that.
Of course.
But point being, that's the only young asset that you have that could really be moved in. You're not moving a safety. You just gave the best contract that a safety's ever got, ever.
Right.
You're not doing that. So it has to be a conversation. It's an uncomfortable one. Ravens fans might not want to hear that, but it is 100% if Eric DeCosta wants to keep his job, it's one that he would have to have with his circle And even with Lamar directly, and then obviously with Steve Bisciotti, if they're choosing to go in a new direction as far as coaching staff changes or whatever, that's a big commitment to make on the books. And even doing a restructure is a big commitment because you still have to move the money around. So it's
Yeah.
absolutely his job to at least explore that option.
And that's kind of what frustrates me a little bit as a Ravens fan is like the signing your own and keeping your own. It's like, hey, that worked back in the past, right? The game's
Yeah.
way different now. And the Ravens, much like the Steelers, have never seemed to kind of deviate from their plan and this and that. So it's like, I don't know if DaCosta's a forward enough thinker to kind of come in. I mean, you look at some of the veterans he's coming in to be like, oh, now we got this guy, now we got this guy, Hopkins, Alexander. It's like, this puts us over the Super Bowl hump. It's like, no, you need to get cheaper, you need to get younger. And if you're going to give it one more ride with Lamar, then you damn well better sell out and kind of get everything in there. And I mean, because here's a list of people that are free agents, and here's a couple other things. One, Derrick Henry, another year older, which Father Time is undefeated, regardless of how good Henry looks. We've seen a little chinks in the armor here. You know what I mean? Stanley injured, another year older. Free agents include Tyler Linderbaum, first round pick. You know, he might be gone. You're not going to pay him top money. Andrews likely is going to want Andrews money. Are you going to pay him that? Like with Lamar tied up, Ricard, Washington, Jones, Hopkins, Van Noy. If you say bye-bye to half of those, who's replacing them? And now all of a sudden you have Lamar with worse talent around him, unhappier now. You're going to have Zay Flowers wanting some money. If Derrick Henry falls off like that, then you have zero running game. And then you have another quarterback now who's another year older who's then going to demand a trade when it's in an opportune time. So it's like if they don't think that they're going to make a run this year, I think it needs to be a little bit of a fire sale coming in. But you said absolutely the conversation needs to happen with Lamar. And if it's as simple as Lamar being like, get me a new coach, then you damn well, and you have a say in that coach, and you damn well better hit a home run with that coach, but you're giving that coach a year. You're giving him 1 year, and you better get to a Super Bowl. I mean, look what Kansas City did with Tyreek Hill now. Granted, it's a wide receiver, but they couldn't fathom getting rid of Tyreek Hill. And guess what Kansas City's done since then? Made the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like
been to three of them, two
right,
of them.
Right. So you have forward-thinking GMs in there. That's what you do, and that's I know what frustrates us a lot is like Ravens fans is it's like it could be a lot worse, right? We could be a team that middles 100%. And never makes the playoffs, and you know, it's almost like you're in purgatory. It's like, oh well, this could be our year if we get in the playoffs. It's like you gotta look in the mirror and it's like, what are we doing incorrectly, and do we have to completely blow it up? So I think that conversation is going to be had in the offseason. It'll be very interesting to see kind of Lamar's attitude and demeanor if he's playing games behind this bad offensive line and we're no chance of making the playoffs later this year, and it's like he's making $76 million next year. It's like, what if he goes down? You know what I mean? Or what if they bench him to save their investment? You know, it's going to be a very, very, very interesting dynamic. And I can't imagine, CJ, if he were to get traded, like there might be some suicide watches in Baltimore. But
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
So, I guess if you were like, well, let's put on your GM hat here. If you were DaCosta, I mean, you know, we have the deadline coming up November 1st. There was a report from Jay Glazer on one of the Fox pregame shows that said more GMs are starting to get a couple weeks now ahead of it instead of waiting till last week to make some trades. With the Ravens bye week here, what kind of changes, if any, are you making? Is it as simple as replacing coaching, or are you making some personnel moves? Like, what would you do? And like, do you think that this team at this rate should kind of make a run for the playoffs and just hope they get in and catch lightning in a bottle?
So if I'm DaCosta, I'm calling the Jets and seeing what's the asking price on Quinnen Williams, just to feel around, because you need the D-line help. It's bad. You need it. You don't have anyone pushing the pocket. You're weak at edge. You're even weaker now with Tavis Robinson breaking his foot. So I'll get to that. But you have to at least sniff around to see if that's even an option. I'm calling Miami as well. They have a pair of edge rushers that you would like to think could be available. If not the younger guy in Jalen Phillips, then at least Bradley Chubb. He's a little older, coming back from an ACL tear. Your team sucks. Your quarterback comes out in a press conference and says, you know, people are late to meetings. Coaching isn't serious. He seems to be disgruntled. You have to think a sale was on the way there. Those are the two things that come to mind for me. But other than that, I don't see the wholesale turnaround, complete 180 change that you're going to make at this point of the year.
Right.
Now, I do think personnel changes do need to be made along the offensive line. And I do think eventually they're going to have to come because when there's smoke, there's fire. And this is multiple weeks now of Harbaugh coming out and saying that he's displeased with the O line. And he's done that before, but this seems different. And
Mm-hmm.
if nothing else is going to put pressure on him to do this, you can't push 3 times and not get it in today's NFL. That's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
That's utterly ridiculous. So if nothing else would have made him make that change, it's 1,000% going to be that. And I know the Ben Cleveland versus Daniel Falele thing. I don't think either one of them is going to be a world beater and be Marshall Yonder reincarnated. We're not asking that. That's unrealistic. But
Serviceable.
yeah,
Just be
be
serviceable.
serviceable. That's all we're asking. And I really do think at some point Emory Jones is going to work his way into the fold. Now, I'm not putting a gold jacket on him. I'm not saying that, but this is a guy that he's an SEC lineman. You had to take the swing in the draft. Obviously, he had the shoulder. That's another story. Why do you draft that guy with his shoulder, knowing that he may not be a factor at all this year? But that's another story for another day. But he's practicing now, has a practice window. You get a bye week to get him up to speed. I think Harb said he's going to work pass blocking technique this week. So I think we'll see a shakeup there. But coaching wise, he seems very content there. Zach Orr is one of his guys. You can see that. That's evident. And I think this is a lot attributed to Zach Orr's exit from playing. And I honestly think Zo is a great guy. I really do. I think he's an amazing guy who had his career cut short and just had a bad deck of cards dealt to him. So that was tough. And, they want to show him love. They want to give him the opportunity. But truth of the matter is he had zero play calling experience before this.
Right. Right.
And, it's not their fault that Mike McDonald grew through the ranks as fast as he did. I mean, you send him to the Harbaugh School of Coaching for a year. He wrecks the Big Ten. Then you bring him back, and he's your DC. Gets better in his first year. Then he's the best DC in the league his second year. And in today's game, they get you a head coaching job. So
Right.
it blew up in their face because it got there quicker than they thought. But he was homegrown. You can pat yourself on the back for that. But yeah, I don't think that there's wholesale changes coming. But if there were moves that I felt like could be made, it's definitely calling New York. What's the price on Quinnen? And calling Miami, be like, look, Bradley's 36. I'm not giving you anything better than a day 3 pick or maybe one of our practice squad guys. I mean, what are you asking for almost 40-year-old edge rusher? I mean, come on now. So that's my take on everything.
Well, I was chuckling a little bit because you said you're not fitting Emory Jones for a Hall of Fame jacket, but I know Kevin, Zach, Ramey, and the rest of the flock assured me that he was a surefire Hall of Famer right after drafting him. But, I mean, you made a couple good points there, and, a couple of things that I'm kind of torn on here is I don't think you need to either, but some of those moves that you're talking about, those guys are still expensive. So it's like you're going to have to build this team through the draft, and we know DaCosta likes draft picks because you're going to not have anything of value to trade them for. So it's like if you go for it this year and miss, then you're stuck with those aging players. Or I feel like we're going to make a couple moves just for moves' sake to say, oh, we tried, and it's like, are you
didn't
like
work?
Yeah. Are you really making the move? And it's torn because I mean, look at kind of DaCosta's track record. You brought up the Emory Jones as a perfect example. People think he hits home runs on all these picks, but it's like, hey, one of your very first round picks you just traded to the Chargers. You have Kyle Hamilton, but in that same draft, you're about to lose another guy that you drafted in the first round for him. You drafted 2 second-round pass rushers, one of whom was hurt, and they were hyping a preseason sack that he had when he was wide open, and then the other one's Mike Green, and all these players that are here, the Travis Jones, the Trenton Simpsons, they're all guys that you drafted, and they're fine. They're okay. They have flashes, but it's like if you're not hitting home runs in the draft, then you're kind of screwed. But that's the only way to kind of build your team, like cheaply. So if Lamar doesn't take a pay cut, that's the thing. It puts everyone in a rock and a hard place because what do you do? So I like your idea with that. I just don't see, like, first off, the Dolphins know, like those teams know that the Ravens are going to be desperate, right? So
Yeah, 100%.
they're not going to make it. Oh, just give us a fifth rounder and you're fine. Now we've seen, I guess, DeCosta
Fleece.
finagle people, but has he really? You know what I mean? And then I mean the point with draft picks, it's also like they're a lottery ticket, right? So I mean, do you think whoever Miami or whoever Kansas City got in the first round is going to be better than Tyreek Hill was in his prime? Absolutely not. So giving up a first round pick, I've always been you give up a first round pick for a proven talent guy. So I think to your point, they are going to still kind of go for it. But I could see DaCosta making weirdish moves. Like, yeah, he'll be like, oh, we called and asked about them and they were too steep. So we got like 3 versions down of that person. And that's us addressing the line. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
instead of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, we got Crunch Squares.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or like the sodas that John used to sell, like Dr. Thunder or like Dr. Cheer or whatever it was. Yeah. Like there were 3 liters instead of 2 liters, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So it's very, very interesting. I mean, like when we laid out, you know, what the Ravens essentially have to do to, I mean, you got to go essentially 9-2 to even have a shot at 10 wins and in the playoffs. And everyone just assumes, oh, easy schedule, we'll win this game. Will we?
Yeah. I mean
at
this point, we're the easy schedule.
Yeah. Look at Lamar's track record against the Steelers. Outside of that playoff game, his regular season games, he's thrown quite a few interceptions against the Steelers. He's had a couple 16-point performances. So we don't just sweep the Steelers. You know what I mean? No. They had Mitch Trubisky come in and beat us. They had Kenny. You know what I mean? It's like, so I think that you're just going to beat Cleveland in Cleveland, where we lost to them either last year or 2 years ago. We lost in Pittsburgh. If Cincinnati is firing on all cylinders, that offense can go right up and down the field against us. It's like you're going to go to Minnesota and win. You're going to go to Green Bay and win. I mean, it's like it's just this assumption that, oh, we get everyone healthy. So it's an interesting conversation, man. I mean, you laid out a really good model there. It's just the cap is really kind of
it's rough.
Yeah, it's hampering us here. So okay, so I guess we'll just lay out a couple of those free agents here, but I guess give me 2 guys maybe that you think won't be a Raven kind of by the start of the next year, maybe 2 or 3 that like you think they're going to get rid of, and would you do the same kind of with them? I mean, maybe we'll start with like Andrews and Roquan and Humphrey. Like, do you think all 3 of those are on the team next year? You think none of them are?
Andrews will not be a Raven next year. I think that has been made very clear. It is very rare for the Ravens to not extend someone that's in a situation like him and then later on extend him after the fact. It would take Isaiah Likely to jump off a bridge, God forbid. But, I mean, there's no way that he's back. And I don't say that with glee. I think that Mark Andrews is a Raven through and through. Had some really high highs here. I mean, 13
second best season. Second best all-time season by tight end.
100%. 1,300 yard season. I think he has multiple 100-catch years, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So Raven through and through, great player that's played great for you. Was your bread and butter guy for your quarterback for years. So great player, but I don't think he's a Raven beyond this year. Marlon is a very interesting case. He's obviously a lifer as well at this point. I believe this is year 9 for him. Year 9.
Like 2016, I think, is 2016, 2017 was when he got drafted, somewhere around there.
He's a lifer so far. Has seen 2 contracts. Was highest paid at the time that he got his money. Another one that has made some great plays, has been here through and through, has seen a lot of different styles of Raven football, kind of came in on the back end of like that transcended period of, the Joe era ending, the Lamar era starting. So he's seen it on both ends. But again, a 30-year-old corner who's already had to make the change to nickel, who you would assume is probably going to have to make the change to safety soon. Are you giving him another contract? Probably not. So he's probably not a Raven. Roquan, I believe in 2026, yes, he's a Raven. But 2027, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. This was not the question, but I'm looking at the dead money. I think 2027 is a no, which would be the last year of his contract that Eric gave him. I don't see him here in 27, but 26 I think he is, just because you're not going to let Marlon Humphrey go, which has been a centerpiece for our defense, and then also cut your middle linebacker. Even if he's not playing exactly like the guy that you traded for eventually, um, you're just probably not going to do that, knowing DaCosta's track record. So I think he's here next year, but those two guys that I said before him, I don't think that they're here next year.
And that's exactly kind of the conundrum that we're in. To your point, it's like you don't think you're going to do that because that's not DaCosta's track record, but I don't care if you're a Raven through and through. Like, yes, thank you for your service. This is a business. If you're costing us money and you're not living up to it, I don't care what you did in the past. This team needs to get to a Super Bowl, and this team needs to get there. Like, if you're not getting there with Lamar in this era, then you need to rebuild your team as quick as possible. We've seen the Rams do it. We've seen a ton of teams do it, and it's not keeping aging veterans. It's just not. And if Roquan sucks, and he had one good game in 2 years. He had the Browns game, and then I forget he's on the team half the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, Humphrey's doing podcasts. He wouldn't come on this one, obviously, but no. But I mean, it's your point is spot on, where the Ravens don't have the track record of doing that, and that's also kind of what has us in
this position,
the situation that they're in. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things Bisciotti is a very hands-off, kind of laissez-faire owner. Shout out to, I worked for his old company, Air Texas. Shout out to Bisciotti. I saw him at RJ Bentley's, and I was in line to get a beer, and he was sitting right behind me, and the bartender comes up and he goes, "What can I get for you?" And he's pointing at me. I'm like, "Me? Like, what about him?" And I'm like, "Well, I'll buy him a beer." He's like, "I'm good." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I kind of figured you were. Obviously it's like you're a billionaire, but
yeah,
it was a thought. It was a thought that counts." And then we beat Duke, so that was awesome.
That's very
but
good.
Yes, but yeah. So I mean, it's just, I don't want to keep on harping on the point, but it's just like so much and the fans are going to be so torn with everything. It's gonna be like, how can you let that person go? But it's smart business. It just is, and regardless of what people say, this is a business, and it's like your team is a franchise, your team's a commodity, and you're going to have to build that. And especially if you're coming in with a brand new coach, do you think that coach is going to want to come in and care what Marlon Humphrey does, care what Roquan Smith does, care about? I mean, yeah, they'll say they care about the whole Ravens history in the past, because how could you not? You see Ray Lewis's statue outside, the two Super Bowls. You have to embrace that in some capacity, but you also need to embrace winning football games and getting the Super Bowls. And, Washington's won 2 games in the same playoff year, and we haven't, since 2013. So, I mean, it's like, it just kind of, it's just, I don't know what to do, to be honest with you.
It's a very tough situation, but GMs get paid money to do this, man. I mean, we're dudes that go to our jobs and do what we have to do on the day to day. Everyone's situation is a little bit different, but every day is a decision that needs to be made, and you don't ever realize how many decisions you make every day. So this is one of those things where I believe Eric has gone on podcasts before and say, it's really tough conversations with guys that you love, and it's just the truth. So if there's anybody that's built to do it, it's these guys. I mean, you didn't get to where you are now as an NFL GM without making tough decisions, without having tough conversations, having to see some guys go, and just be in really weird positions. I mean, I believe this was, I can't remember exactly what year, but there was a year where Ray Lewis did request a trade.
Yep.
Obviously, they did not listen to that, and they said absolutely not. But he's alluded to it a little bit as well. I believe it was Rich Eisen. He was on with him, and he wouldn't say what team called or was interested, but he said he would never really wanted to leave, but he needed them to know, like, look, man, I really take this serious, and I'm not here to play. And I think that's it. That's where this team is, and the leaders, the so-called leaders,
who don't show up in the locker room after a loss. But
yeah, I mean that we could get to that, but yeah. So I mean, the leaders are really going to have a backbone and just a standard of, this is where we need to be, and this is where it is. Like, we're not standing for this, we're not standing for that. If guys don't want to do certain things, they have to go. And I just don't know if this team has that guy that is the right voice. There could be voices. I don't think there's the right voice because as we know, and it's been very well documented, and it's gotten better over the years, but Lamar is not the vocal leader. He's not the rah-rah guy. He's not Roquan by any stretch of imagination. He's going to put on his cleats and his pads and his pacifier mouthpiece, and he's going to go out there and play football. That's good enough for me. I understand that because you never have to guess, is he playing hard? You know what I mean? Is he at least trying? I don't question that. So you get that there, but as far as a vocal leader who's like, look, Eric, this is wrong. We need to be fixing this. I don't know if that guy is currently here. I don't
Correct.
think he is. I don't think so.
Which then, to your point, I kind of almost am like, okay, well, that makes me more apropos to be like, okay, Roquan and Marlon at the same time, you can both go because maybe bring like you could never fathom some of the old leaders in the past. Like that person is the heart and soul. Right now, I kind of think if Humphrey goes, it's oh well, yeah, he gave us a good 9 years, and people would fake like, oh, sad to see him go. Like, hey, maybe Ravens Ring of Honor person, but is that really the heart and soul of your defense losing? I mean, we were
No.
getting shredded when they were all healthy, right? Like,
Yeah,
shredded.
Nothing
Like,
changed.
yeah. So I mean, So I mean, it's tough, but I think we're both in agreement here that they sure as hell better win that Bears game, or we are going to see a complete fire sale. If they start off 1-6, you can't run it back in any capacity. Like if you're losing the first half of that game, I'm making phone calls.
Oh yeah, At
I'm
half,
getting.
you guys can sit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because why? Why?
Yeah.
At that point, really, why? Because here's where I'm going to have an issue. We lose that game, and then somehow, some way, we win 7 straight. It's like, oh, we have a shot at the wild card.
Win and help. Yep.
Yeah, win and help, and say it all happens, right? Do you know and understand what that run is going to look like? I can almost guarantee you game 1 is either at Buffalo, assuming that they're not the 1 seed, which I think is a very good possibility. Right now, the 2 seed is up in the air, but you're probably looking at a mix of maybe the Colts
or KC
or Kansas City, depending on if they start to turn up. I mean, take your pick, but either way, you're saying you're playing 3 straight road games against teams that don't have the issues that you have. That's asking a lot. Is that worth more than saying, hey, we need to just get into 2026 healthy? We're going to revamp on defense. We're going to build the trenches on both ends. We're going to extend our quarterback again. We're going to start with the new head coach, or we're going to change around play callers on defense. We're going to go younger. That like just a bunch of different changes that you could go. But I agree with you. If that game is 10-0 at half, punt.
Yep.
Lamar needs to come back out with all black Ravens attire on and a hat. Roquan, have your suitcase. Don't even come back on the field. Marlon, meet your agent at BWI. You're going on a visit. Just blow it up.
Yep.
Blow it up because it's not worth it. How many times do the Ravens get to pick in the top 10?
Right. And the worst thing you could be is in purgatory. And, we make fun of the Steelers for precisely that. We're essentially the Steelers, but we win one more game in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Just one more game than them. That's all that the Ravens have been.
Extra week of glory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it's like we win that home game against a shitty quarterback or a rookie quarterback and C.J. Stroud a couple of years ago, and then Russell Wilson, and then we bow out. Like you said, you're not winning 3 straight against those teams with those offenses, with those head coaches, with those quarterbacks, with those running games. You're not doing that. So
not with the issues that this team has.
No,
it's no shot.
And especially too because they're going to look at the defense will be playing better against bad quarterbacks, so that'll be masked. That okay, well look at the improvement of the defense because when you're in there, you're not playing Trevor Lawrence, you're not playing Geno Smith, you're playing Danny Dimes, who's playing like an MVP. You're playing Allen. You're playing Mahomes. You're playing Herbert. You're playing Bo Nix, who's decent enough. You know what I mean? Like those are the guys that you're playing, and we've shown that those guys beat us. So, cool. Let's, I guess, kind of. This is a good transition over to, I guess, just the NFL as a whole. I mean, both you and I we are ball knowers, regardless of what the flock says. And I did see that our boy Zach says that it's a guarantee that they come in and win 11 straight and go 12-5, and
Oh
make
Lord.
the playoffs. So yeah, but anyway, he's predicting it. He didn't give me any analysis. He just says it's certain that it's going to happen. So
Yeah.
props to new era Zach. They're one of the leaders of the flock, but I digress. But yeah, man, wild NFL season. So kind of coming into it, I have a couple futures bets in. One is Mahomes. I have a 3-leg parlay of Mahomes, MVP, Aiden Hutchinson, Defensive Player of the Year, Mike Vrabel, Coach of the Year. That New England team, man, like they could be contending with Buffalo. They already have the tiebreaker over them. I think Buffalo's got some issues that it's almost similar. Like if Lamar masks our issues, Allen does the exact same thing with them. That Patriots team, if you look at their schedule, man, I don't see them winning less than 9 or 10 games. So there's another team too. Like the Ravens have so many teams that they have to hop over in order to make the playoffs. But you get a team like that, I mean, they could be the story of the AFC, but just the Colts, man, they're for real. Like, what are I guess your predictions in the AFC and NFC? And I mean, is this still Kansas City out of the AFC, lock it up, or are we going to see some new blood on both sides in the Super Bowl?
So I'll start with the AFC. I do believe that this New England team is the worst nightmare for the whole slate. And the reason I say that is it's all house money. It's all house money. No one projected them to go into Buffalo and win. Debuting new uniforms, the last stretch of home games in their current stadium. You're not telling me anybody picked them to go in there and win that game. And they did it. And they did it their way. It wasn't cute. It wasn't just, oh my God, they blew them out. No, it was ugly. It was a fist fight. It was everything that you would expect a Vrabel team to look like. And they're fearless. They
And
don't
he's got a
fear
quarterback.
anybody. And he has a quarterback. And he's playing with swag now because he has that rallying cry behind him. Like, look, we're with you. I mean, anytime you have someone like Stephon Diggs sitting there, he's wiping dirt off of your shoulders. He's putting imaginary chains on you. That's a big confidence boost. I mean, this is a guy, you're watching him, you're in college, you're in high school. He's one of the best receivers in the game. You're throwing to him now, and he's fully behind you. He supports you. You're going to have a little bit more pep in your step. So I think the Patriots are a big problem in the AFC just because they don't have any fear and they're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. No one projected them to be good in the first year of Vrabel. Nobody. So
they have a ton of cap space too, I believe.
And they have more money to blow. They didn't blow it all last year. They spent money. They got better, but they didn't blow it all. And I mean, they could make easy upgrades. It's a desirable place to play because of the history. And now that Vrabel has the thing back running, it's a destination. So they're there. They're a good team. Like you said, the Colts are for real. I can't tell you what led to that, but I feel like they've drafted pretty well. Daniel Jones is obviously playing really well. They've added the correct pieces around him, and I think the right coaching, emphasizing his strengths and not leaving his weaknesses to be exposed. So they've done a great job there in Indy. Shane Steichen has done a really good job. So they're there. The Chargers, I believe, are also going to be there, whether that's wild card or division. I do think that race is going to be extremely close between them and Kansas City, but history is so hard to contend with especially when you still have the same guys and the same crew still there. They just know how to win. Every dog has its day, and I know it hasn't looked like Kansas City in the past. The 80-yard bombs to Tyreek Hill. This is a way they found a new way to win games, and that's really what gets it done. So you can bank on Kansas City being there as well. Again, them and the Chargers. I mean, take your pick on whether they're wild card or a division winner. Both of those teams will be there. That leaves, what did I go over? 4 teams. That leaves 3 spots.
Denver, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Jacksonville.
Yeah. So I mean, again, are we jumping all of those teams and still in the spot at 7? You've locked yourself out of any top 6. I don't think you win the division, and you're not going to jump those teams to get 5 or 6. So you're playing for the 7th seed essentially and you're signing up for the murderer's row. Is it worth it? I don't think
Right.
so.
Right.
So yeah, you got that.
Kansas City, or so Kansas City still is plus money to win the AFC West, and I think that just so I have a parlay going of Ravens under 10.5 wins. Ravens miss the playoffs. Sorry guys, not a hater. I just like making money. Steelers
Yeah.
to win the division, and Kansas City won the division. And I'm still a Kansas City believer, maybe to a fault, but like you said, every dog has its day. But yeah, they looked awful last year and were 15-2. Now they got exposed in the playoffs. I might argue that this offense and Mahomes are looking back like not as like the Tyreek Hill, but way better than last year's offense. And
Oh,
I mean,
1,000%.
they've averaged 33 points in their last 3 games combined, and they were a Trevor Lawrence. If Chris Jones just touches him, they win that game. You know what I mean? And then we're having a whole different conversation here because they're tied with the Chargers. So I think I said this kind of before the season started. Kansas City, Mahomes even came out and said, "We're pissed off. We have a point to prove." And I don't know if I want Patrick Mahomes pissed off with a point to prove. And
No.
they know they can't go through the motions now just in the regular season because there's other dogs that are coming up in Denver and the Chargers who can easily win that division. And Kansas City doesn't want to go on the road. They knew last year that they could coast. They're still going to win the division. They're not afraid to go on the road. They knew stuff would come through Arrowhead, and it's going to be tough, man. But yeah, it's just Vegas thinking that the Ravens legitimately like we're behind every single team in the AFC West has more wins than the Ravens. Every single one. So even the Raiders, 2 wins. Now, granted, that's 2 wins, but that's 4 teams that you have to pass. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just in one division alone. So you're right. I think the Colts and the Patriots it's going to be unbelievable because Buffalo, while I still think Kansas City's there, as much as I love Josh Allen and I think he's just unbelievable in the playoffs, I'm not a McDermott guy. And I think Buffalo is nowhere near. Buffalo is a lot more fraudulent than the Kansas City is. And if you give me Indy going into Buffalo if there's no snow, you give me Denver going into Buffalo if there's no snow, you give me the Patriots going into Buffalo. There's going to be a team that's going to surprise. I mean, if you told me that the Steelers right now are going to the AFC Championship the way Rodgers is playing, and they have DK Metcalf now, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be
No.
surprised. But just to see all this new blood in the AFC and just how quickly it kind of came goes back to our conversation. It's like your window can go like that, right? So
Yep.
why run it back? The Colts are the perfect example to what you brought up. They just draft really well. They had basically 3,000 receivers last year. I mean, Michael Pittman had 1,000, but Alex Pierce and Josh Downs both had 900 something yards. You add Tyler Warren into that, you have Jonathan Taylor, you have a good enough defense. Like all those guys are built through the draft, all of them.
Yep.
And that's how they're doing it. You get a quarterback that comes in and is serviceable. Like that team is legit. And if I were a bet man, which I am, I would go Kansas City 1, Indy 2 to kind of win the AFC, and that's crazy. And NFC, man, I mean, what are our thoughts there? I mean, I think we're both riding the Baker Mayfield flag here and rooting for Tampa, but just to see kind of the fall off from Philly, where it's like, I still think they're a good team, and I've always been, hey, come in and prove it. And I wasn't high on Washington this year, but I think there might be something to the struggles in Philly, and mainly it's because Saquon isn't running the ball. I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. The guy wins, and I think he can throw better than people give him credit for. But I think it's all the ancillary stuff around him
Yeah.
seems a bit dysfunctional, and we know how hard it is to repeat anyway. Yet it's an easier division. The Vikings aren't as good as I thought they would be coming out of the Central or the North, so that's one less team. I mean, is it Philly? Can we trust Baker to get there? I mean, who the hell is coming out of the NFC? It's kind of like it feels like there's maybe only 2 or 3 teams on like the AFC where we could see 4 or 5 coming out.
Yeah. The NFC to me, and I know people say this every year, but it seems wide open. Like Baker and crew, they're on like their 5th and 6th receiver right now.
Right.
So, I mean, these are guys who aren't even active 2 weeks ago,
Right.
3 weeks ago, and they're in there making plays. They just seem to have that just feel to them, like, we're here and we're for real. And they've been in the playoffs. They've won the South the past 2 years. So they're not a stranger to playing in the playoffs. So you could probably assume that they'll be there again. They're probably going to win the South again. The thing to me that's interesting right now is if we were having this conversation last week, I would tell you San Francisco is very sneaky, but you can only overcome so much. Then you have
Yep.
Fred Warner go this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Prayers to him. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough to overcome. You're already down your quarterback. You're down your all-pro tight end. You're banged up around the defense, and then you lose your main guy. That's tough to overcome. So I thought that they had something and they could do what they usually do and just hang around, but I don't think that that's there. But Baker and crew look great. Philadelphia is still making the playoffs. They'll you know walk backwards into a playoff win in the wild card most likely because still a great team. Now the stuff that's going on around hurts and just the overall feel to the team. I think it's a tough go, just simply because I mean everyone wants to contribute, and I get that, and we've all seen this before. Receivers want to feel important. They do. I understand that AJ Brown is being paid like a number one wide receiver, but he still wants the catches. He still wants the yards. He still wants the yeah, I'm that dude, and I get it.
And he
I
is.
true. Yeah, he AJ Brown is a great player, but they win games in a very unconventional. We're going to touch push. If we're on the 10, we could touch push our way into a touchdown in 4 downs. And I mean, last week, 4 straight times they ran the touch push, and every time AJ Brown's sitting there, he's getting set, and he just looks defeated. So I think that plays a part into their downfall. I mean, they're still over 500 and look good. I mean, they lost a division game.
Right.
They lost a division game to a rising team that has nothing to lose, which is the most dangerous part about
With
a young football team.
two idiots that'll put their head through a brick wall.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they're like you're going to probably lose a game like that or two a year. You can almost guarantee it. So I don't think that the sky is falling in Philly yet. I don't think that we're there. Other than that, obviously
Detroit.
Detroit is. I mean, they're going to be who they're going to be. I don't put much stock into the Kansas City loss. Kansas City is still very much a very good team. Detroit will be there. Washington makes a great case for probably being in the mix again. I think we'll see a similar field as far as the teams that are in the NFC playoff this year. The Rams, obviously. But yeah, wide open over there. Wide open.
Philly and kind of, I guess Philly fits the model of great on both sides of the ball. And then you have a team like Washington with Jaden Daniels on his rookie deal that kind of fits the model that we talked about here. And I wasn't a Washington guy. Coming into this year, I thought they were going to regress, but I love Daniels. That guy is an absolute monster. And now, granted, they got 6 turnovers in Detroit last year, kind of the perfect storm to win that, but they pick right back up where they're winning with backup quarterbacks. Granted, they're beating the Raiders, but there's something to that team. And Dan Quinn, one thing that I think I would love to see the Lions make, I do think if I was putting a wager down, I would probably put it on them. But Dan Quinn can do something stupid in the playoffs where McVay's not going to, Sirianni's probably not going to. Shanahan's a complete wild card, but we've seen Shanahan get to 2 Super Bowls, so what he's doing is working, and we've seen McVay get there. So it's like there's such a complete wild card. Then Baker Mayfield, love the guy. The Bucks, I don't know how they're doing it. You eventually think one of these days they're going to turn into a pumpkin, and all the injuries are going to catch up to him. And Baker can only play solo for so long, but that's the only thing that's prohibiting me from saying that Tampa is the favorite. But yeah, to your point, I would probably go. I think there's 4 teams and maybe Washington, but I would probably go in order like Detroit, Philly, Bucks, Washington, or I'm higher on the Rams than most people, and I do think that the Rams came here knowing they could throw their shoes on the field and win. Yeah. And they're going to London tomorrow, so I'm not taking anything away from them looking sluggish on offense. They knew if they scored 10 points, they're winning the game. So I mean, they just kind of came to the East Coast, had some crab cakes, beat down the Ravens, and then left. So, man. And Atlanta's up 21-7 right now. Let's go. Oh. So, here we go. But yeah, man, so we'll shift gears. And I know it's kind of been a long time. We're almost at an hour here, so I appreciate the time. But we got some basketball season coming around. Our beloved Maryland Terrapins, pun intended, College Park is buzzing, and I'm getting my Maryland Georgetown tickets this week. Waiting for one of my best friends to Venmo me. We go to at least a game this year. I might go see him at Virginia on the road.
Yeah.
I replay that Derek Queen shot and the Johnny Holiday call at least 5 times a week, man. It's just what a magical run last year to get to the Sweet 16. Shitty the way it ended with Willard. We had no shot running into that buzzsaw Florida.
No.
I love the Buzz Williams hire. Just give me your thoughts on the Terps, man. I guess what's the ceiling for this team, and do you think it's a second weekend team, or we should just we be kind of happy to get in the tournament in Buzz's first year?
I'm fully expecting at least to make the tournament with the potential to make it to the second weekend. Just because this is what Buzz does. I mean, Buzz Williams, uh, like this is just what he does. He's gonna be at the school. What's his marker? 5 years.
Yep.
He goes for 5 years. Everywhere he goes, he does the same thing. Brings in very tough guys. He's going to play a little bit unconventional without
Ugly.
the not without the traditional center, the 7'5", guy that's just going to sit on the rim. I mean, that's where I'm looking at this team mainly just to see how he does it without the traditional big, without the 6'11" guy that you just throw out there just to get big. Because I mean, Solomon Washington, I think is billed at 6'9", I believe.
Okay.
So I mean, but played well for Buzz last year. I mean, and they made the tournament. So there's obviously a method that he has that is proven to work. He keeps getting a good job and has always kept a job. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. Obviously, the landscape nowadays is if you lose a coach, you can almost guarantee 15 new players are coming. So you're going to have to, you're actually going to have to take the little the menu that they give you when you walk into games now to just kind of see like, okay, well, that's who that guy is. That's where he went last year. You're going to have
year number 7. He's on his fifth school. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So you have to do that usually when you're hiring a new coach because you can guarantee new blood. But I'm excited. I think that tournament is a very realistic expectation, and I wouldn't be surprised with the second weekend appearance. I really wouldn't.
Well, I know personally. I mean, I'm a diehard Maryland fan. I mean, every possession takes years off the back end of my life. I mean, I'm 42. Saw the national title team. Saw how great it was. Saw when it wasn't so good. The Grievous Vasquez performance in the tournament where we lost on the buzzer beater, where I could have swore that would have been a Final Four team, but then we probably would have lost to Northern Iowa the next round. So it's like this is going back to kind of almost early Gary Williams days. It's not the most talented starting five, but it's guys that will grind. They'll play every possession. They'll rebound, and they're going to play for each other. And like you said, that's Buzz's calling card, and it's going to be refreshing to see. It's going to look ugly at times. I'm going to be like, can we just score more than 48 points in the game? But then we'll look up and the team that we're playing has 45, right? And it's like where last year we had some knockdown shooters. You could count on Rice to hit a three. You could count on Joe. I mean, at any point, last year there were so many guys that could carry you. We're not going to have that on the offensive end this year. But collectively, I think we could be better. And like you said, yeah, this is what Buzz does. You look up, we're a 4 seed or a 5 seed, and it's like, well, no team's going to play. No one wants to play Buzz Williams' team in the second round on a short day, 1 day to prepare. You're not going to want that with a Maryland team, and Maryland can get more players than Texas A&M can. We got some better recruits coming in, so
yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. The fact that we're playing Georgetown and Virginia this year is awesome. I am scared of Ryan Odom, but I love Ed Cooley, but I want to kick the shit out of Georgetown. Renew that
100%.
rivalry, beat the crap out of them. It's a Friday night. It's at 6 p.m. I want to see you all at Looney's or Bentley's. Get there, fill the Comcast Center, man. But it's hard to believe that basketball's right around the corner. And who would have thought that would have been our reprieve is waiting for the Terps to not let us down because the Ravens and Orioles both let us down. So I kind of thought that we would just be
the only hope at this point.
Yeah. Oh God, Maryland basketball is our only hope.
I've been there
before. So
what are we doing right now?
Well, awesome, man. Hey, I'm calling this the anti-stands podcast. We joke, but CJ and I, both diehard Ravens fans. I mean, we tweet stuff. We just try to keep it real. If you can't appreciate that, then it is what it is. We joke with the flock. We all want the team to win, but all I ask is just please relax a little bit. You don't have to tweet every single good thing about every single player. They're not all going to hit. Mike Green's not going to be a Hall of Famer without playing an NFL game. Just watch, sit back, enjoy, and yeah, trust me, we're all going through it at 1-5 right now. When you're one game ahead of the Jets and the Jets could have won in London, like stuff's going on. So
Yeah.
the bye week couldn't come at a better time, man. But thanks for joining. We'll have to do it again sometime. We'll have to try to get Snacks on here. I know he's very anti kind of podcast, but shout out to the boys again. Hope they're listening. But any final thoughts for you, man? And I guess just plug your Twitter again.
No final thoughts for me. Just want to thank you for having me on. Very, very, very refreshing to be on here. I'm sure we'll have some interesting comments on some of the points that we made. I'm sure of that. So it'll be good
I
to
don't
read
doubt that
that.
at all.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that at all. But you can find me on X at Sally Talks. And that's all I've got for you guys. I appreciate you for watching.
Well, I hope this doesn't make you guilty by association because they hate me. I still think they like you, but like now with you being on here, I hope this doesn't hurt your street cred a little bit. So if it does, I'll take all the blame. You can be the likable one. I'll be the bad cop. But have a good evening, man. Let's root for the Falcons and the Commanders so your boy can walk away with $2,600.
Absolutely, bro. Let's get it. Good luck, man.
So, yeah, take care.
All right, bro.